What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much as always for tuning in. Today I thought it would be really fun to talk about things that you might pass up at a thrift store that are actually worth crazy amounts of money. Brands you might not be aware of, or styles of brands that you might not be aware of that actually command hundreds if not thousands of dollars. These can be kind of rare finds, and I've only found a handful of these myself, but I'm always on the lookout for some of these crazy high dollar finds. And these are just things I've learned over the years that I do always keep an eye out for. And yes, maybe I do go to sleep at night sometimes looking up really high dollar sold comps. I'm super weird, but it's really entertaining. It's really fun because sometimes the most random item can command hundreds of dollars. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Okay, first up is Skandar. Skandar is like a really high-end brand. It doesn't look it though. You might see it and think it's very simple, boxy, unflattering, but it sells for a ton of money. Retail, I believe, in the thousands, and then pre-owned in the hundreds, or up to thousands, depending on what kind of piece you pick up. So it may be unassuming as you're going through a thrift store or a garage sale to see this brand, but definitely don't pass it over. It commands a lot of money, especially the boxy sweaters, the pullovers, anything silky, obviously anything new with tags. Yeah, Skandar is one of my favorite brands to sell for sure. Next up is something that I have found. I found this at a yard sale for $2. It is the Free People V-neck thermal zip cuff black. It has to be the black or the dark gray color. And this sells for $90 up to over $100. This one piece. It's, I guess, rare, hard to find, and it is in high demand. So when I picked that up, I thought, oh, it'll sell for, you know, 30 bucks or so, because Free People tends to sell for 20 to 30. But I was really surprised, and I looked up comps, and sure enough, mine sold for, I believe, $85. So really pleased with that find. And again, this looks very unassuming and simple, but it's worth a lot of money. Next up is Lululemon, a very popular brand, something that I love picking up in pretty much any style, but you have to be aware of the seaweed prints. And I'm gonna show you in a picture here how you can tell if something is seaweed. When something is seaweed, there is an extra embellishment around the Lululemon logo, kind of like this. It comes in different styles based on what year that seaweed print came out. They're always limited edition and really unique. And as you can see here, they can command hundreds of dollars. So if you ever see Lululemon with something special around the logo, that means it's a seaweed print. Look up comps before you just list it, and you might be surprised at what you can find and what you can sell it for. Next up is a Shot men's leather jacket, vintage. I have sold vintage Shot before, but not leather, and that sold for, I believe, $50 or $60. So it's still not a bad find, but if you can find the vintage Shot Bros leather jackets, they sell for a ton of money. It's definitely on my radar. Again, I've sold Shot before, but not the leather. Yeah, as you can see, these leather biker jackets, moto jackets, they sell for a ton of money, so don't pass those up. Of course, if you find a leather jacket, it would be wise to look it up right away. Not all leather jackets are created equal. Some just don't sell for hardly any money, and some sell for a lot. So it's definitely worth looking up the brand, the year, the style, just to make sure. But yeah, Shot Bros, Harley Davidson, there's just certain leather jackets you always want to pay attention to. Okay, I had to throw this in here for my friend Eric, the college picker. Like, this is probably my favorite find I've ever learned about ever. I wish this were mine. I wish I could claim it. Eric went to a yard sale in Arizona, I believe, and picked up this Levi's jacket for $2. And it sold for $5,700. It is a vintage Levi's Big E jacket, denim, blanket lined, in pristine condition. He sold it on Etsy to someone in Japan, and I seriously like still cannot believe this sale. It is so cool. So if you ever find a Levi's with the Big E, the logo tag, instead of a small lowercase e, there's a uppercase E. If you ever find that, hold on to it, look up comps, do a lot of research, because it could be worth thousands of dollars. I believe because Eric's was so pristine and in such good condition, it did command that high price. But even if it's in poor condition, it still can get thousands of dollars. So totally crazy find, one of my favorites ever. And yeah, I just have to shout out the college picker for that. way to go, crazy find. Next up is a board game that you might pass up. I don't know if anyone goes to the board game section. I always do. I always look for things like Risk. That tends to sell okay for me, or certain editions of Monopoly. But there's one that I'm always looking for. The Dark Tower board game. This can sell for hundreds of dollars if especially the tower works, is in working condition. So keep your eyes peeled for the Dark Tower board game. I haven't found it yet, but I'm definitely always looking at yard sales and thrift stores. And even if the tower doesn't work or if it's missing pieces, it can still go for a lot of money. So pick it up regardless. Next up is one of my favorite things ever. I always look for it. I never found it, but this was a shout out to Tech and Sports. This was on his Instagram page forever ago. It is and I had no idea that this kind of vintage Harley tee could command this kind of money. If you ever find a vintage Harley tee with a hog on it, with a 3D logo, hold on to it, grab it, especially if it's from the 80s, because it could be worth thousands of dollars. These go for crazy money. They're ultra rare. Of course, I'm always looking for Harley Davidson anyway, but this tee I'm always searching for, and he found one. Tech and Sports found one, which he is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. These, as you can see, sell for thousands of dollars for one t-shirt. It's crazy to me, but definitely don't pass over vintage Harley Davidson. You can tell, people sometimes ask, how can you tell something vintage? If the tag looks really faded, and if it looks like a really old font, if the stitching on the lower half of the short sleeve is single stitch instead of the double stitch. These are just small ways you can tell if a t-shirt is vintage. Either way, if you see a hog on it, just grab it. It could be a reproduction, it could be newer and then not worth as much money, but just in case, grab it. Okay, next up is Hermes and Hermes silk ties. A lot of people don't go to the tie section, and this is another shout out to my friend Colin in Texas. He taught me about ties, and one of the ties to look for is an Hermes tie. These are rare, they're harder to find, but they are worth crazy money, especially a comp that I saw just today as I was researching for this video. A $12,000 vintage Hermes tie with lions and circus rings on it. I don't know, crazy. So I know the tie section can be a little bit overwhelming. It can be hard to see all the tags, but it's worth doing a quick scan to see if you see Hermes, because Hermes, and again, this is a very rare tie that sold for $12,000. Still, they can command hundreds of dollars if it's a really cool print, a really cool style. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And Hermes, obviously, like I think a lot of people know, is a very high-end brand. And a lot of times it gets more valuable with age. So scarves, ties, always be on the lookout. I've never found an Hermes, but I do know someone at the bins. I ran into someone at the bins who recognized me from my YouTube channel and Instagram, and they had found an Hermes sweater, and I was just like, all the jealousy. I thought it was so cool though. I was really happy for them. Okay, Patagonia, shout out, as we all know, is worth some decent money. So it's always worth a pickup, but especially the vintage deep pile pullovers, especially in like the tan and blue colorway, sell for a lot of money. And they're called the Retro X, sorry, not pullover, full zip. They're full zip fleece Sherpa jackets, and they're worth a lot of money. So always keep your eyes peeled, even if it looks old or a little bit faded, or it has a weird print. Patagonia vintage actually sells really well. So if you find vintage Patagonia, definitely grab it. It could be worth hundreds of dollars. I have found vintage Patagonia before, a pair of baggies shorts with a wave logo on them. I picked them up for $2 at a yard sale. I currently have them listed for $200 because they are super rare. This is the kind of thing though that's going to take a while to sell, but comps look pretty crazy. I'm just waiting for the right buyer to come along. I do believe they are very valuable. Okay, this was a fun find from a yard sale. This is actually something someone gave me. I bought a ton of stuff from their yard sale / estate sale. They were getting rid of a lot of stuff, and I found this Rolex box as I was leaving, and the guy said, oh yeah, that's from a Rolex I got from my work years and years ago. You can just keep the box. And I almost died because the box alone can be worth a couple $100s itself. So I went ahead and I listed this box. Within 5 minutes it had sold. And that kind of told me I probably underpriced it a little bit, but whatever, it sold. It was completely free, so it was like a free 150 bucks in my pocket. But yeah, if you ever find vintage Rolex boxes or even like paperwork or anything to do with Rolexes, they will sell. You don't have to have the watch because the watches are so valuable. So collectors are crazy for boxes and any papers or anything that has to do with Rolex has like a huge following. So yeah, definitely don't pass up anything that you see that has the Rolex brand on it, and of course is authentic, which is what we want. Okay, another really crazy thing that you can be on the lookout for is, and this might be a little bit rare again, a brand new in the package vintage PlayStation 1 Resident Evil or El Diablo game could sell for thousands of dollars. Just side note here, guys, like if I saw this at a yard sale and a kid was selling it to me for 10 bucks, I would feel horrible if I didn't tell him, hey, this is worth a lot of money. So I hope you guys don't think that I'm just out there pillaging. And of course, if they're not sealed, they'll sell for a lot less, as in like 40, 50, up to $100 maybe, just depending on condition. But if it's still sealed, it could go for thousands of dollars. So always be on the lookout for vintage video games that are brand new, sealed. You never know what they could command. Having sold hundreds of video games myself, most of the time, you know, the ones I pick up are selling for 30 to 50 to at most 80 bucks if it's more rare. But if it's brand new, sealed in the package, and you see it at a thrift store and you see it behind the case for 20 bucks, look it up and grab it because it could be worth a ton of money. Okay, Citron is a brand I have picked up before. They are really pretty. It looks a little bit unassuming. I mean, they're embroidered and they are cool. They're silk usually. These tunics or these tops can go for a lot of money. So you might find it in the blouse section and pass over it, but Citron is actually worth really good money. It can sell from, you know, 50, 60 up to $200 if it's a really rare, unique piece. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for Citron. I had to throw in a more casual brand there because I think Citron looks unassuming, and so sometimes people might pass it up, but it is worth really good money. Another one that I just like love picking up, I love finding Double D Ranch. I swear, like, it's probably one of my very favorite brands to sell on eBay because it sells so fast and so well. So Double D Ranch is like a crazy high-end ranchwear brand, and some of the jackets, leather jackets, embroidered jackets are worth $1,000 or more. So if you ever find like a leather, suede, embroidered, any kind of jacket, blazer, even top, like really anything Double D Ranch, but especially the jackets, they sell for really good money, especially if they're more recent. The more embellished, the more beaded, the more out there the design is, the more it'll command. So that's just something to think about. And along the lines of Double D Ranch, I absolutely love selling Peruvian Connection. Peruvian Connection is another brand that looks really simple. It looks really kind of like old, or it's not something that you would imagine like is hot and trendy, but it sells for a ton of money. So these sweaters, the knit, the alpaca sweaters, the coats, the pullovers, they sell for crazy money. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for Peruvian Connection. It's another unassuming looking, muted brown colored brand, but it sells for a lot. And every time I have sold it, it's sold super fast. So that's another thing to think of. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was fun for you to learn about some brands that sell for crazy dollar amounts and brands to be on the lookout for. Again, I haven't sold all of these brands myself, but one day I hope to. And that's something that I really love about eBay is I can look for treasures and really unique things that might have ended up in a dumpster, but I'm able to find and pass on to somebody who is a collector who really appreciates that kind of art or rarity. So it's really, really fun. That's just a huge reason that I'm motivated to find things to sell on eBay, is because it's just so fun. And it's a job where the more knowledge I have, the more money I make. It's that simple. So I hope I was able to pass a little bit of that on to you guys so that next time you go sourcing, you might be able to find one of these cool things. If you've ever found one of these awesome finds, please leave a comment. I want to hear about it. That's one of my favorite things to hear, is what kind of finds did you have that turned into a ton of money? So please drop that in the comments below. Like and subscribe to my channel if you like reselling content from the perspective of a stay-at-home mom who's just trying to make her little business work in between momming and all the stress and craziness of life. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.